Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified Zentangle teacher. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Zen. In these videos, I guide you through creating one tangle pattern using the Zentangle method of drawing. So today I'm using my Micron pen. It is a PN plastic nib pen. I also have a little graphite pencil and a blending tool. And I'm drawing on a bijou tile. These are 2" by 2" tiles. All of this stuff is available from Zentangle.com. You can also use whatever you have on hand to write with and write on. Okay, this one is called Sundrop by Gaylene Miller. I live in Michigan and it's been in the 90s all week, so I thought a sunshine type tangle would be really appropriate for today. All right, I'm going to begin with my pencil, and we start with a circle. And I want my circle to be pretty large, maybe the size of like a quarter. So I'm going to do it really light with pencil, and then I'm just going to kind of fix it by going around it a couple of times and shaping it. And as long as it's mostly in the center, and we need a little bit of space all the way around it to add some details. There's probably a better way to make circles, but this is what I do. I just kind of keep drawing it until I like it. You could also trace something if you like. I think it's more fun not to trace and just keep it kind of whimsical. Okay, once you have your circle the way that you would like it, we're going to trace it. It's okay if it's a little bit oblong or a little bit crooked. This is meant to be relaxing, not perfect. Okay, then I'm going to go back to my pencil for a moment. And sometimes when I'm teaching you how to make a pattern, I like to draw in some grid lines to help us sort of make it correctly the first time. And then if I were to draw this in a compilation piece or in my sketchbook, I probably would not draw these lines, but I feel like it's easier to visualize for the first time we're making it. So I'm going to put a line across the center, wherever I think the center is, with my pencil, and then also one down this way, horizontal, vertical, and then also diagonal. They don't have to go all the way to the ends. We just really want these little lines coming out here. We want them to be fairly evenly spaced. Okay. The next thing, if you want to do a little bit more line work, you can put in an outer circle, which is going to tell us how far we want our next little lines to go out. So I would not normally do this, but I also know that sometimes it's hard. We start making these lines and some are long and some are short. So if you want to just pencil in an outer circle as a guide, you might be happier with how this turns out. And I didn't make that a perfect circle. I just want each of these little sections to be a similar width. Okay, we're going back to our pens, and we're going to put in a little letter C that goes from the top of that down to there. Then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do this one. So I'm just going on that left-hand side of the line. It already looks like a little sunshine. So see how that grid just helped me keep these a similar length, and it also helped me keep these evenly spaced. All right, now here comes what I think is the fun part, but you might find a little tricky, so hopefully not too bad. All right, I'm going to do a little tiny inward C like this. And then I'm going to give it a belly and come out and meet it down here. So a little belly, like a little inward C, and then a little belly. We want this bottom part to be nice and round. So like scoop up into there. Little C, little belly. So you could just go like this. You could just make this little teardrop shape on each one. I just wanted to teach you kind of this extra step where you can do the C first and then do that, just because sometimes this shape is a little bit tricky to make. And yours might look different than mine if you made this circle smaller and these larger. I promise you there are so many variations. You could make the circle really small and these little sun rays really large, and it would look amazing. Mine just happened to turn out this size, but in my sketchbook when I was practicing, I did all different ones. Okay, once you get those in, we're gonna go from this pointed top up here, and we're gonna draw a curve down to the bottom of this one. So from that pointy top, curve down to the bottom of this one. Pointy top, curve down to the bottom of this one. Some of them are going to be further apart than others. Mine is already different widths. It's okay. Pointy top and down. And if you want, you can make your pointy top a little bit taller just by extending that line out a bit. Down to the bottom of the next one. Look how pretty that looks. If you have an eraser, use your eraser to get rid of those little pencil lines. Just make sure your ink is dry. And see how that grid helped us just sort of keep it all evenly spaced. There we go. That is Sundrop. Isn't it just beautiful? I love it. Of course, we have to embellish it a little bit and do some shading, but that is the essence of it. I just think it's so pretty. And I love this technique of making these little raindrops and then coming off the top over like that. Okay, so one way that I embellished mine that I thought was kind of fun is to take this little belly here, and when we come down here, give it a little curl. You do not have to do this. It's just something that I did that I kind of liked. So I come down that belly, up and around. Just extending that little belly shape, giving it a little curl. I love that extra little detail. Okay, I think I'm going to initial mine. And do a little bit of shading. So I was going to maybe add some stuff in the center, but I think I'm going to leave it like that and let my shading make a pretty little center with my pencil. Okay, so in the middle, it'd be kind of fun to make a slight, like a little gem type, I don't know, what do you call it? Like it's like a little gem. So to do that, I'm going to draw a line right here that follows this outer edge. And then I'm going to make it into a little moon shape. Kind of get a little bonus in here today. Okay, then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to put graphite pretty thick all around the top of this little moon shape. And underneath it for a second. Then I'm going to extend this dark area down the sides slightly and kind of give this a little curve. And then down here, I'm going to give it a little thin line, but nice and dark. Okay, this is going to be fun. I think you're going to like this. All right, I'm going to take my blending tool and I'm going to soften all of this so it's nice and smooth. And now this is just a technique that I like to do where I'm going to be pulling this out a little bit towards this middle, but I'm also going to be softening this side and pushing that up a little. And with my pencil, I'm going to go a little bit more down here, but nice and light. And I want to leave this right here really nice and light and clean. So I have this really white spot here and then more of a subtle white spot here. I'm going to kind of round it a little bit. And what I want is dark, dark, and then lighter, lighter, lighter. And then with my blending tool, I'm going to put a little line through part of that little moon shape. See how we have this little gem now? Isn't that cute? Okay, that was just kind of fun, right? All right, to shade these outer little sunshine petals, I'm going to go on that first curve we made and then down inside that belly. So first curve we made, follow it down inside that belly. The C and then the inside. C. Oop, I went on the outside of that one. That's why I have to say it out loud. C and inside, C and inside. And with my blending tool, I can just soften those the slightest, and it makes it look like that part is sort of tucked in a little bit. Isn't that beautiful? And my blending tool already has a lot of graphite, so I'm just going to go a tiny bit on the other part of those little petals. How did your inside turn out? If you don't love it, you can take an eraser and erase it because it's just pencil, but I think it looks kind of cool. I'm also going to take my blending tool and I'm just going to go around the outside a little bit. It'll just kind of help lift it off the page and not make it look so flat. But it doesn't really need a full amount of shading. Okay, there we go, Sundrop. I think it's beautiful. I think there's so many ways that you could play with this. And like I said, make the inside smaller, make the rays a little bit bigger. You could add an outline. You could bundle a whole bunch of these together. Just beautiful. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful week and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.